Hello, my name's Duncan, and welcome to Back Away from the Donkey and Back Books, and welcome from Ruby. And with these Vlogmas videos, I'm starting to feel like a Bond villain, but with a Pomeranian totally there. So, I'm sure there's some sinister plan I've got. Sorry that these Vlogmas posts aren't feeling very Christmassy at the moment. I promise you in the next couple of days I'll get some more videos of outside and maybe me doing some dog walking and stuff, but I am going to do a normal video soon of some of my plans for next year, some of the stuff I'll be reading, and I'll probably do that under a normal guise, not under a Vlogmas one. But to tell you the truth, I'm not feeling that Christmassy at the moment. I do sometimes struggle with Christmas. It's just me, my wife and my dogs, and it's sometimes struggle to feel Christmassy or things like that, so... but yeah, I don't want to make this depressing. So I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about today because my plans went to hell again. So, Little Miss Poms, what shall we talk about? That's what I was going to talk about. I talked about the other day about iRobot, the 75th anniversary of iRobot. And I decided to start reading it again. Here's my nice pamphlet copy that I've got. And it's said, if you don't know, it's a collection of short stories that are done in what they used to call a fix-up, which is basically one thread to make it into a novel. So I had to scratch my head there. One novel. And how they do it in this one is they've got one of the main protagonists of some of the stories, Dr. Susan Calvin, who appears in some of Asimov's later works as being almost interviewed by a reporter. And so these stories get told around that sort of device, and that was a way to link up all the stories, because all the stories were published before in various periodicals. But what's quite interesting is, in the UK, Radio 4 Extra, which is, if people outside the UK don't know, is a channel, basically a radio channel that, basically all it is spoken word stuff. So it's plays, it's the odd program stuff. There's no news on it or anything like that. I have it on a lot because I avoid the news because my brain can't handle it all the time. So I listen to it a lot. But for the 75th anniversary, they've been replaying a radio adaptation of iRobot. And I've heard it before, but I re-listened to it the other day. And what was quite interesting about it is, the way they put it together is they've sort of linked the stories in one complete narrative. They've invented a character that's like an amalgamation of Susan Calvin and somebody else. But they've named it something different. And I just think they made some very weird choices, because in sort of science fiction and literature, and especially in Asimov, Susan Calvin's a very important figure, and in the literary history of robots, she's highly important as a robo-psychologist. And I find it weird that you wouldn't use her as your main sort of crux, because this new amalgamated character they did in this radio adaptation is also the main little girl in the first story, Robbie. The first story, Robbie, is about a robot who is used as what they call a nursemaid, basically as a childminder for a child, and basically how the mother of the child doesn't like the robot looking after her child, and the story revolves around that. And the story is more about sort of technophobia and implications about that than anything else. And I think the way that the radio adaptation put us together sort of missed some of these points, as it has in, I think, in a couple of the other later stories. Don't think it's included all the stories. I don't think. Let's have a quick look. They've got escape in there. Sorry, I'm just trying to look in the index of this book, so I can't remember the name of all the stories off the top of my head. You're not helping, Ruby. Not helping, Ruby. Yeah, because the stories are Robbie, Run Around, Reason, Catch the Rabbit, Liar, Little Lost Robot, Escape. So I don't think they've got Catch the Rabbit or Reason in there. I could be wrong in the radio adaptation that I listened to. But it's worth listening to. If you've in the UK, it would be on BBC Sounds version of iRobot. It's worth listening to, but I do think if you know the stories, I'd go off and read the stories as well, because the stories, as a lot of the time, there's a lot more in them. Yes, literally they're not the best written, but they are some of Asimov's first stories. I think Robbie was his first published story, if I remember rightly. And Asimov was never one for big prose and stuff. thinking about adaptations to work, there's very few adaptations of his work, isn't there? You've got the Alex Proyas directed iRobot with Will Smith, which bears very little relation to the story about iRobot. I quite enjoyed the film, even though it really is not the Isaac Asimov story or anywhere near that. It is just the title of the book. You've got the god awful Apple Foundation series that, watching it's like somebody read the synopsis of Foundation and then wrote something totally different than what they wanted to do. That's what it feels like to me from what I saw of it. Maybe it's got better, but I watched most of the first season and then I just thought, nah, I'm not going to waste my life on this. So I'd like to have a sort of there is an accurate radio adaptation of Foundation, which was it from the 60s or the 70s, that I have actually heard, and that is really, really close to the stories. But I think for adaptability, unlike somebody like Philip K. Dick, the reason Philip K. Dick gets adapted a lot is because after Blade Runner, people realise that they can do a hell of a lot with his stories, because a lot of it is revolves around paranoia and around the world not being real. So there's lots you can do with that as a filmmaker. Whereas something like Asimov, a lot of it is people in dark rooms smoking cigars and talking a lot, which at the time was fine, but now comes across as rather sexist. But so adapting that for a modern audience can be quite difficult. So adaptations can be difficult. They can be very, very difficult. Some of them work, some of them don't. Some of them, I'm normally quite happy for an adaptation to not represent the book totally, as long as it keeps the general gist of it and do something totally different, because I understand that they can be different medium, but I like them to sort of have some heart that's involved in the original stories. What do you think, Ruby? Yeah, do you agree with me? So I have been rereading iRobot. What else am I reading at the moment? Because I've read a couple of books. I've got a Heinlein book, Under the Doors of Summer, that I restarted. This is a sort of rereading bit section for me at the moment. I was reading Our Man in Moscow, which I was really loving, but because I've got a few other bits I wanted to do before Christmas, I've sort of put that on the back burner, so I'll put that on hold, and I'll probably pick that up again just after Christmas to finish that, which I do sometimes do with books. Doesn't mean I'm really, really liking it, but I want to have the time to sit and savour it, because I was really enjoying that book. But there's a few bits I want to do before Christmas, and I've got a few sort of reading bits that I would wish to do. Talking about, the other day I mentioned the films I was watching, and I mentioned Dean Kane's Christmas film that I watched. I'll probably see some more of his. I actually rewatched Wargames, the John Badham film. When was it? Yesterday? I rewatched that. I decided to rewatch it. I watched it for quite a while, and I do love the film. If you don't know, it's about somebody hacking the computers, NORAD and the computer basically deciding to do a war game and almost blowing up the world. But you watch it now, which I was quite surprised when I rewatched it. I said, I'm not, probably 5-6 years since I've seen it. It was done in 1981, when we were all scared we were going to be in some nuclear war with the Soviet Union. But now, if you look at it through the sort of lens of all this AI nonsense, it's even more intriguing, because it's almost like a warning against computers, the control of computers without human input. I think that's the best way to describe it. It's really quite intriguing if you look at it through the lens of modern sort of computing, and specifically AI. And that's what struck me about rewatching it. Still a great, great film, John Badham film. I've decided John Badham must have been a prophet, because that is still a very, very good film. That's the only film I think I've watched recently. I need to do some. I was going to have a look at some old Christmas episodes of stuff as well, like Warehouse 13 I used to love, and Town Called Eureka. Find the original Christmas episodes to watch those, but I will see how I go. I want to do some more Christmassy stuff in vlogs. In these vlogs, maybe even decorate, because we've not decorated the house yet. We decided this year we're not having a tree, which, if you were one of these people who used to follow me and my wife going to pick up our Christmas tree for the past few years, we're not picking one up this year. So that's really about it. The next day video, I'm probably going to do a tag, and I'll hopefully get some more sort of interesting Christmas content for you, and some, I hate the word content, And there might be a couple of normal videos, and maybe I'll Christmas it up a bit. Let me try and Christmas it up a bit, other than me just sitting here with a weird little dog in my arms. So, yes, I will speak to you all very soon, and thank you all for watching. And if you have any requests of anything you'd like for me to speak about, or talk about, or show you, let me know. I'm going to do a bit on some annuals I've got. I'm probably going to do those at the weekend, and some other books I received in Christmases past. So there's going to be some stuff like that. But anyway, I'll speak to you all very soon, and thanks for watching, and bye for now.